frequency and no longer experience such a difference between us. Good day. Good day.
Good day. Thank you. First, I wanted to say thank you for being so patient and kind with people who seek your counsel.
I am not patient at all because I live in the moment and I do not need to be patient. I enjoy every moment.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. I did have a few questions. The first has to do with two interactions with gray beings.
Yes.
The first one was, I think it was a dream. And then in the dream, I woke up and there was a very young gray standing at the foot of my bed. And it was strange to me because I felt like I had a really strong maternal feeling toward it. So I guess my question is there any sort of connection, or was it a dream?
No, it is a connection and a memory, although in a different reality. It's not exactly a gray being, though many hybrids actually do have many gray qualities, but it was a hybrid child of yours.
Okay. In this life, as I know now, as this person, will I be able to have any other sort of interaction with it, or?
There's a high degree of probability in the near future when the hybrid children come to live among humans on Earth.
Okay. Okay. The second was the other day when I was meditating. I was opening myself to have communication, and there was what I interpreted to be a gray, and it felt like a female energy that came through, and it was a very brief interaction. I felt like she was like very wise, like she held some sort of a station, and the name Alora was said.
Yes.
Can you give me any further information on that?
Every single person that is part of the hybridization agenda does in some way have a gray counterpart. This was a gray counterpart. In other words, it travels in family lines not only in humans on Earth, but in the idea of the mutated humans called the Greys from the parallel reality Earth. So in a sense, Alora is you in another reality.
Okay, that makes sense. And so this is a communication I'm able to tap into and to keep exploring and.
Make that a statement and it will be true.
Perfect. Thank you so much. The last, well, no, I actually have two more things. One, I had a very vivid dream last night where I was resuscitating a stillborn baby, and I started massaging its chest in a circular motion. The word I think that I was saying was SSAO. Does this make sense to you, or do you know what this is?
Again, this is to some degree a memory of an encounter with a hybrid child that you were asked to assist with in bringing it to fruition. And you are using the vibration of connection to us, Esasani, to allow yourself to raise its frequency to the point where it could survive.
That's so amazing. Okay, thank you. The last thing I had was this has kind of been an issue my whole life. It's just come in the past couple of years. I'm really trying to be very self-aware about it and work through it. And it's this relationship that I have with money and finances, security, feeling like something's going to happen and I'm not going to have the resources to be able to this has just been a theme like my entire life.
All right. Do you remember or have you heard us talk about how many forms of abundance there are?
Yes.
So why are you limiting your abundance? By focusing only on one way in which things can be done. It's true, when certain things happen, you may not have as much of that resource called money that you think you need, but you always will have all of the resources you need if you relax your insistence that money's the only way in which certain things can get done, and start allowing the other forms of abundance like synchronicity and communication and imagination and trading and being given a gift to come to the forefront and fill in the gaps where the money falls short, because it doesn't need to be any more than that which arrives. Does this make sense?
It does.
But
I guess I'm
But
trying to figure out how to cycle out of that. Like, I'm really good about being able to switch my perspective. And if there's something that I feel like is negative coming in or not true to the experience that I want, switching the trajectory. I just don't understand why this is still, I feel like I'm smarter than this. Like, I know better, but this is still.
all right, but remember how this works. Remember the motivational mechanism we have talked about. If you hold on to a negative belief system, a limiting belief system that doesn't serve you, it's because you have another belief that says that if you switch, something worse will happen. And that's the stronger belief. Therefore, you keep limiting yourself because you believe that to switch on the motivational mechanism, to change that belief, will actually cause you harm. So you have to find out why you believe that letting go of that limiting perspective on money and broadening your perspective on abundance will actually allow something worse to happen than playing it safe and holding on to only money as the way in which certain things need to get done. You have to find out what benefit you are getting from holding on to that limited belief, because you wouldn't hold on to it if you didn't believe there was a benefit to doing so. And the benefit is usually a belief that something worse will happen if you let that belief go. Do you understand? That's how it works, mechanically speaking. So what are you afraid might happen? Do you feel that it is really true, that it is really more likely, more probable than any other reality, that if you try to broaden your definition of abundance, that somehow you will be destitute? Somehow things will not work for you?
No, I feel like I believe the opposite, and I have been given some like really great ideas, like
Yes.
for a story. Like, I love writing. Like, there are so many things I can channel. I've helped a lot of people in positive
All right.
ways by
All right.
helping
All right.
families.
All right. So why is this different? Why is the definition of this relationship different than any other where you say you know that you can shift your perspective? What belief do you have that makes this subject more difficult to shift your perspective on? What have you been trained to believe? What have you been trained to believe about the idea of money and finances?
I guess that there's just,
Don't guess. Don't guess. Think back.
yeah, that there's lack. Yes, it's the way I was raised. Yes.
All right. And so it's very powerful. So if you let that go, do you have a belief that in some way, shape, or form you will be dishonoring who taught you these things? That it will cause a break between you if you don't think the way they thought?
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like because our relationship has been strained at points.
That'll be strained even further if you let this idea go. Yes?
Probably.
And you're afraid of that, correct?
In a way. Mm-hmm.
All right. Then that's what you have to work with, is understanding that it is more important to be yourself. And whether the other person understands that or not, that's their issue, not yours.
Yeah.
And that you actually would be honoring them, whether they understand that or not, by being your true self. So you have to be comfortable with the idea and the understanding that just because someone might be displeased or strain the relationship between you while you are attempting to be more of your true self, that's not your issue. That's their issue. I'm not saying you have to do this deliberately to hurt someone or to put a strain on the relationship, but you can't be responsible for what they choose to feel or how they choose to react that limits and curtails your ability to be your true self. You have to let that go. You cannot be responsible for their choices. You can only be responsible to them by being who you truly are and letting them know who they're actually in a relationship with, so they can make up their mind as to whether to change or not if they want to continue to be in a relationship with who you actually are, as opposed to who you think you should be.
Yes, this is so helpful. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. Does this help you?
It does. I very much so. Thank
All
you.
right.
Well, thank you.
Have fun.
Thanks.
Good day.
You too.
Always.
Greetings, Bashar. My question is, one night I had a dream where the apartment I live in was haunted. It was a pretty vivid dream. And in the morning, when I got up, I was doing my morning routine. And at one point, I thought about that dream. And when I did, the lights in my kitchen flickered. And they've never done that before, and they haven't done that since. Is there a connection? Thank you, and have a great day.
Someone in spirit is attempting to get your attention. So pay attention to it. Be positive in your vibration. And whatever positive energy or information needs to come through from spirit, you'll eventually make the connection more consciously and receive that information. So just know that something is attempting to get your attention, and stay in a positive state with that idea. You will receive what you need to receive eventually. Good day.
Good day to you, Bashar.
Good day. What would you like to discuss this day?
My first question, although I think I have been a fairly good person most of my life, there are a few things I regret doing, one of which caused some memory loss. The memories have started to return slowly over time, but they are fragmented and incomplete.
All right.
Is there a way to streamline my memory recovery and become whole again?
Well, have you learned to do something different from this experience?
Yes. I've mostly been relying on rosemary oil, sleeping
I don't
longer.
need to know the details. I don't need to know the details.
Okay.
I'm just asking you in general. Whatever it is you did that you say you now regret doing, have you learned from the experience and are now doing something differently that you believe is more in alignment with your true self? Yes or no?
Yes.
Then there is no need for regret anymore, is there? If you're learning from it?
I guess not.
The regret is weighing you down and holding you back. That's the way to streamline yourself. If you acknowledge that something has been done that you don't prefer yourself to do, and you have been willing to allow yourself to learn a lesson from it and change who you are and do things differently that's more in alignment with who you truly need to be, regret does not have a place in that formula. The regret served a purpose in simply getting you to recognize that it was not something you prefer to be. Once you recognize that, there is no more room for the regret. It has done its job. It served its purpose. So let it go. Yes?
Yes.
That will streamline you and move you forward. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
You are welcome. Anything else?
How can we see auras and the flow of spiritual energy around us?
By raising your vibration, which you are on the path of doing. It will happen naturally. Of course, you may attract yourself to some methodology, and if that permission slip works for you to increase your ability to stretch your senses to perceive those energetic things, then that's fine too. Trust synchronicity will bring you what you need. But the idea, again, is that as you allow yourself to become more and more of who you are and move forward, your vibration will increase, and a natural result of your vibration increasing will be that your senses will begin to see things that you heretofore couldn't. So it's just a natural part of your evolution.
What can we do to improve if we go into a meditative state, but we're not making any progress?
But depends on what you define as progress. What are you insisting must happen when you go into a meditative state? Insisting that something particular must happen is actually the opposite of being in a meditative state.
Well, if you're sitting in meditation, but you're only experiencing a dark void.
What's wrong with that? Dark voids are quite beautiful.
I was hoping to get a little bit more out of the experience.
Well, maybe that kind of experience is not designed for something you actually find workable. Or again, You're bringing too much insistence and expectation in what you think it's supposed to do. Maybe you have other ways of meditating, maybe not. But I just gave you the hint that if you explore the dark void itself, you may find there's more there than you think, instead of insisting that something else should be happening other than the dark void.
The next question I have is about control. And you had mentioned recently that if we release control, then we would find that everything is in our control. And I've certainly heard this from many, many people. I'm wondering, can you suggest how to catch ourselves when we forget?
Well, do you not recognize when you have gone into the limited version, when you understand how things work, will you not know when you have gone into the limited version of the idea of control?
Absolutely. I know when I'm there, I just kind of,
Then
I
stay
sort
there
of
for your own reasons.
shock.
Well, that's all right. Again, it's not about being better than that. It's about accepting what is and learning from it. That's how you use it. Why am I here? Why am I experiencing this? Why am I choosing to experience this? Is there something for me to learn here by having chosen that? Do I have a belief system I'm still holding on to that I'm not aware of? What would that belief system be that would make it seem like a logical choice to come back to this place? If I understand how things work, what would be the reason that would be so overwhelming that I would choose to be here again? Examining yourself deeply that way will be able to use that particular state of being in a way that can benefit you if you learn a lesson from it. Learn what the belief systems are that would make it seem logical to keep choosing to go there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe it's kind of like a worthiness thing, questioning my ability to communicate when things are in a heated situation, for example.
Oh, all right. And why do you think yourself unworthy of proper communication in those situations? Why do you succumb to the lower vibration?
Because my mind goes blank. If I'm, if I'm in an energy that feels overwhelming, and
all right,
I kind of lose it.
Do you not understand that your mind going blank can actually be a benefit to you?
I'd like to work with that, definitely.
Well, if your mind goes blank, then you're not going to necessarily offer a negative reaction to something, are you?
No, unless you call it passive aggressive, that I say nothing.
Do you wish to define that way?
Definitely don't. Definitely don't. But I feel like in order to remedy the situation, the conversation.
What makes you think you're supposed to? What makes you think you're supposed to remedy it?
Well, I feel like I need to do my part in trying to.
How do you know that doing your part? How do you know that doing your part isn't to remain silent and let the other person recognize their issues that they're projecting on you?
Well said. Yes, I believe that.
All right. Again, not because you're better than, but just because you're offering a blank slate for that person to bounce off of and get a reflection for themselves of the projections that they may be putting onto you of their own issues. You don't have to remedy anything. Again, you're trying to be in charge. You're trying to be in control. I have to rescue. I have to save. I have to fix. No, you don't.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And when you relax into that state of it being okay to go blank, you will come out of it more likely than not with the perfect response that gives them the opportunity to face the issues that they are going through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Silence can be very helpful to kind of recalibrate things.
And if nothing else, after the silence, you can perhaps even make a suggestion to the other person. Is that what you really wished to say?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you really wished to say? I'm giving you an opportunity to rethink what you just said and decide if that's what you really wish to say. If it is, that's fine. But I'm giving you an opportunity to decide whether you would like to communicate something differently at this particular moment. And it is the blankness that would allow you to do that, allow you to come up with that kind of a response.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Does that help?
Just dropping into presence and dropping into
Yes.
My higher self in that silence definitely opens the opportunity
Yes.
for
Because
right
you would
communication, for
know.
good communication.
Yes, because you would know that when people communicate harshly, it's usually not representative of what they actually wish to talk about. It's usually just something on the surface that's a cover for their fear of facing the issue at hand. And if you give them the chance, if you give them the opportunity to rethink it, many of them will.
Right. Wow. That's helpful. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Pleasant
Thank you.
dreams.
Hello, Tadeo.
Nania.
We have a lot of great questioners from our viewers.
All right.
I think we'll start with some open contact questions.
Yes.
When it comes to open contact, will your people be contacting individuals or small groups first, then the planet, or the entire planet all at once? If you'll be or will you be going with individuals, and could a group get together and be specifically prepared for contact? Can you tell us what steps to take?
Follow the formula. Again, raising your vibration to a certain level will allow synchronicity, the organizing principle, to determine exactly who and how many individuals will be involved in any particular moment of contact. It can be individuals, it can be groups. Most likely, it will eventually be your entire planet or the remaining population in the version of Earth that has shifted to the reality of contact. But again, these things are not completely determined at this time. But again, following the formula as precisely as possible will allow you to become more probably involved in whatever way is appropriate and relevant for those individuals at that time.
So basically, there will probably be some individuals that are contacted as individuals. There'll be some groups that are contacted. And specifically, it wouldn't necessarily be your people, but it would probably be other ET civilizations.
We will not be the first, but we will eventually join in. And again, the answer still applies. We may start with individuals, we may start with groups. It depends on the vibration at the time and what it is that your people have already experienced with regard to the first extraterrestrials that would initiate open contact.
So for like those groups that get together, say out in the desert or in other locations and look for ETs and specifically for the purpose of contact, that kind of repetitive behavior, could that heighten the potential for contact for that group?
Yes.
That sounds fun, and especially if everybody loves doing it, right?
Yes, really only if everyone loves doing it.
Mm. And how does first contact work on a global scale? For example, do aliens know all the different languages, and how do they go about contact based on the different cultures and tribes?
Different extraterrestrials may learn certain languages that belong in certain regions of your planet, or they may also use telepathic communication if the population is ready to receive such. There will be a variety of ways of communicating with individuals on your planet. Again, remember, certain kinds of contact will not occur until certain groups of individuals are ready for it, and being ready for it may mean that they are capable of receiving telepathic communications, and or, to make it simpler, sometimes, as we said, some extraterrestrials will learn the local language.
Can you share with us who will be the most likely species that we will have contact with first?
Most likely, Pleiadian species of different types. The ones that are closest to you genetically, your cousins, in a sense.
Is that true that Pleiadians seem to exhibit some of the most beautiful aspects of humans in terms of their visual appearance?
We understand what you mean by that, and I suppose the simple answer would be yes.
Okay. And if Bashar, the entity, is a collective, then upon open contact, will each major nation on Earth get its own Bashar clone to speak with?
No, Bashar, myself, is not a collective. I am an individual. I am telepathically connected to my species and many other beings, but I myself am not a collective in that sense that it was meant. Everyone will get their own representative, be it a member of my species or other species.
And will we see a lot of technological innovation and at an accelerated pace as contact gets closer and closer?
As contact gets closer, you will see some, and after contact, you will see more.
So will it act as kind of a triggering energy, similar to like in 2001: A Space Odyssey?
Similar in some ways, yes. Again, remember, we have said that when you discover forms of life, either in your own solar system or elsewhere, based on your technology, your probes, your telescopes, so on and so forth, that will also start a trigger in the mindset that outside of your planet, life is possible. And therefore, that alone will change the mindset sufficiently to begin an acceleration and a refocusing and a perspective change in your society, or at least those that are aligned with that idea.
Would you say that 2033 is also going to be an important year for contact, for first contact?
Yes, and an especial acceleration between 2033 and 2040.
Does the Interstellar Alliance have a post office? Is there a service that ET societies use to deliver packages between planets? And can you tell us Essassani's intergalactic zip code and where their mailbox location is on Earth?
The idea of a post office does not exactly exist in the Interstellar Alliance. Sometimes, however, goods are traveled from one place to another on ships of a variety of types. Sometimes goods are simply created where they are needed immediately, depending upon the technology involved. The so-called zip code, as you call it, of my world is exactly the same as the phone number we have given you. A black background with a black equilateral triangle separated from the background by a deep blue light behind the triangle. This is the vibration that allows connection to our collective consciousness. I, in a sense, in what you call the North American region, am the so-called post office, since I am located above your Bell Rock in Sedona, Arizona. You could consider that location, because of my presence, a kind of hub for communication in the North American continent. There are others positioned in other places around the planet, and I suppose, using your language, they would be the so-called connection point, hub, or post office for those regions in communicating with extraterrestrial beings, not only from my own civilization, but with other civilizations as well.
Is there additional Essassani beings or Sasani beings that are currently now placing themselves around the planet?
There are those that have been around your planet, as I have been above Sedona. There are some that are coming in, not yet here, some just placing, but there have been many that have been placed for some time, as I have above Sedona.
And what do you all do while you're up there and holding the energy or whatever else it is that you do while you're there?
Well, we are feeding different kinds of energy into the vortices in those areas to help balance out the idea of the collective energy of your world and make transitions easier should you choose to align and match the frequencies we are giving off in those areas. At the same time, remember that time for us is not what it is for you. We can do many things and communicate with many different beings and be in many different places simultaneously, as it would appear to be from your perspective, even though to us, it may seem to be somewhat different.
Are there specific species that are monitoring what's going on at the nuclear silos and guess keeping watch to ensure that there's no accidents that would destroy our planet?
Yes.
Can you tell us which species?
No.
Let's see. When humans learn the true understanding of our planet's history, will our attitude towards crime and the ways of handling crime change from our perspective?
Potentially, this will start to occur before the idea of the history is revealed to your world. And remember, it will be the history of the moment.
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, as we have said, every time you shift and change, you change your history as well as your so-called future, because everything exists simultaneously. And as you make a shift into a new version of you, both individually and collectively, you go into a parallel version of Earth that has a completely different history, the history that linearly would have been necessary for you to experience being a different person at this particular moment in the present. So when we reveal the idea, when we give you the gift of the history of your world, it'll be the history of the version of Earth that is making open contact. Not that there aren't other versions, but each version will have its own history slightly different from every other.
Does that mean that people of similar vibrations will hear the same history, whereas people of other vibrations will hear a completely different history?
Potentially, yes. Those of a similar vibration may hear a history similar enough that they can all agree that it is their momentary history. Others with different vibrations will hear different versions of history.
Is that also a symptom of what we're seeing on Earth now, where many people have their own version of reality that seems to have nothing to do with other people's versions of reality?
Yes, it is a symptom of the splitting prism.
And will the hybrid children, when they come here, will they exhibit less emotionality than we do?
Not less. They may not have the full range of emotions in the sense of negative ones, so to speak, but what they exhibit may actually be more full-bodied than even you typically as humans express.
The idea that humans express a lot of what could be called drama or emotional drama, will these children be less prone to those kinds of choices?
Yes. They will be more evenly balanced emotionally.
Okay, and when we're interacting with other ET species, what kinds of things will we do for fun? Like, we like to go out to lunch or go to a movie or those kinds of entertainment, and interacting with ETs, I would imagine, would be quite different than that.
It depends on the activity. Some extraterrestrials may enjoy joining humans in some of the typical activities on Earth, but there will also be other activities they will bring with them that humans may also learn to enjoy. I'm not going to give you a list at this time.
Okay, well, I guess somebody was asking, do you Do ETs dance? I mean, will they enjoy dancing with us?
Many do, yes.
Okay. And one person was talking about an experience they had where they had a dream encounter or potentially an actual encounter with a mantis being, and they
Yes.
found it quite disturbing. But then when they drew a picture of it and sort of journaled on it, they actually found it to be quite fascinating.
Yes.
What would you describe as the process that's happening here that helps that person arrive at that?
Sometimes actually projecting it out in front of you in some way, shape, or form, like a drawing, can allow it to then be reflective to you in a different way, from a different point of view, a different perspective, so that it doesn't necessarily remain in the idea of your subconscious or unconscious mind, where you don't necessarily know how to relate to it. By putting it out in front of you, you can develop a different form of relationship with different beings. This is why we suggested, and still continue to suggest, the exercise of creating a cutout of different extraterrestrials, such as the Greys and hybrids and so on and so forth, and putting them outside your windows and doors, because by relating to them that way, as if they are truly physically there in your reality, but outside your house, you can begin to develop a different relationship that allows you to determine on your own terms when you are comfortable enough to interact with them more closely.
And can you skip this version of Earth and teleport yourself to a version that's already had contact? And why is this process so important?
This is the process that most of you have chosen so that you can develop a true appreciation for the manifestations of contact that will ultimately occur. Many of you simply wish to go through the process so that you are properly prepared. Many of you think you're prepared, but you're not, because we are very different than you might think. We are not some science fiction extraterrestrial that will simply land and be similar to you. Our vibrations are very different. Many species are very different from you, and preparation is necessary for the path that you have chosen in terms of your experience of physical reality. So do not be impatient. It will be worth the wait.
And can you talk a little bit about your feminine counterpart, Anima? What role does she play in your life? How can we strengthen our relationships with our male and female counterparts on Earth and beyond?
Well, again, by examining your belief systems and letting go of the ones that are outdated, outmoded, old-fashioned, and forming no balance within yourselves and recognition and respect of equality. Differences, of course, are valuable, but the idea is that fundamentally you are all equal in that context. The idea of Anima as a social engineer accompanies us many times on first contact scenarios, especially after open contact, to help guide and suggest and encourage different kinds of social engineering in societies than that society may have been used to for its history. So the idea is that Anima will also be present in many cases when we arrive, and will help with the reconfiguration and social engineering of the systems on your planet to the greatest benefit of your entire population. In other words, you may call her, in that sense, a sociological efficiency expert.
Is she actually your feminine counterpart, and what does that mean?
It means we are extensions of the same oversoul.
And so do you commonly, when you're doing first contact work, do you do it with Anima?
And others, yes. She is my primary because of our soul connection.
And can you tell us a little bit about the frequency of first contact? Like, you've helped us understand that human beings operate at different frequency ranges,
Yes.
and that the higher frequency states tend to be between 175,000 and up to about...
Yes. Open contact will require a stable frequency above 200,000 cycles per second.
Really? Yes.
Yes.
So are you saying the vast majority of people on the planet as it stands now would not experience first contact?
Correct. At least
And
not yet in their reality, in their version of Earth. They may change and experience it later on, but again, we are not expecting the idea, due to the probabilities of choices that you have on your planet, the vast majority that exists now, to be the majority that will exist during open contact. Those that shift to the other Earth will join those already there, already existing in that alternate reality, and they will form a new majority. But the majority of the individuals on your planet now, as you understand it, on the version of Earth you experience now, will not experience contact with us in the way that you understand that concept. They may
now,
experience other things.
when you say contact with you, are you talking about the Sasani beings, or are you talking about Pleiadian and other
There is
species?
a range. There is a range. Some may experience every variation you can imagine. Some will not experience us at all.
So if you're on the Earth now where you can see the other realities, the negative ones that are happening on the planet, but you're seeing it through the glass wall in that sense, will that be the case for those who experience contact where they can see so many divergent realities?
Some may be capable. For some, it will simply not be relevant for them to perceive it that way. It depends on the individual and the theme that they are exploring and what they will do with that.
Do you expect then that large segments of the population would literally disappear from the reality of those that are going to have contact?
Yes.
Okay, and so that would not necessarily, how would that occur? How would that occur?
You are constantly shifting, remember.
Yes.
It may not actually be such a big mystery. The idea would be, just like sometimes you have contact with individuals you call friends, and then sometimes years later you simply find that you haven't seen them for quite a while, and you don't necessarily think anything of it. You just imagine they have gone on to their own path, and that your paths will not necessarily cross again. You may have different ideas about what that experience will be like, but it won't necessarily be a mystery for many. It'll simply be like people have simply left your life, have gone out of your life. Some may appear to have died, but some may simply not be around for so long that you simply don't think about them anymore, or you wonder where they went, but never encounter them again.
So I would imagine it's not an accident that we're simultaneously going through massive climate change and potentially a massive extinction event in coordination
Not
with
going
the
to be talking about anything in the way of a prediction, but yes, such things are possible with the shifts going on, because again, you're shifting through versions of Earth. So you may experience a variety of things that are all representative of the splitting prism until you make decisions to align with a particular timeline or path and other versions of Earth that will take you in a different direction.
Well, this will probably make more sense to us as we become more and more used to the level of plasticity where the
Yes.
Earth can shift a great deal, our realities can shift a great deal. And some of the skills that we're learning right now are how to navigate
Yes.
changing realities that may let you feel unmoored or not as grounded to a specific reality.
Yes, temporarily, but it will become a normal state for you, a state you will get used to in the constant idea of shifting, because the more you understand that you are projecting and creating your physical reality, the less you will rely on the idea of stasis as a representation of stability, and the more you will feel comfortable with the idea that change is truly what is stable.
So that would figure into the idea that many humans do not enjoy change, or they believe that change is uncomfortable, fearful, creates anxiety.
Yes.
Those kinds of things is, in a sense, a skill set that we're learning, is how to be in physical reality or as physical reality with greater amounts of change and seemingly unmoored realities without
Remember,
having getting
remember,
panicky.
it is not getting used to more change. It is getting used to the idea that you're constantly changing.
Because you mentioned when you're in spirit, you can navigate change quite easily.
Yes.
It's the natural flow. You're always experiencing the next chapter in a sense.
And you are doing so even in physical reality, since that's nothing but a projection of consciousness. Again, it's just that most people on your planet are not aware of it because of the agreement you made to experience the idea of linear time and continuity. But once you accept the idea that you're constantly shifting billions of times per second, you can get used to that idea and form a new understanding and relationship with the idea of change as stability.
So the disorientation that humans often experience around change, this is an issue of definition and attitude.
It is an issue of definition